Welcome to Fast Pace, the new growth, leadership and management podcast featuring Josh Phegan and Dean Mackie. We wanted to peel back the layers on what happens in the world of fast-paced real estate agencies, from new leadership models to the management challenges we all face each day. This is about a new era in the estate agency sector. Rapid changes to business models, service lines, remuneration and growth present the greatest opportunities that we've ever seen. Sit back, get inspired, grow your skills and reimagine what's possible with Fast Pace. Every Friday, wherever you get your podcasts, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Josh Phegan Digital. The power of great planning. Dean, sometimes you look in a business and you go, wow, why is there always a revenue hole every single March? How does that actually happen? Oh, hang on a second. We don't list anything. We don't sell anything in January. And so by the time it gets to settlement, that's why we never get the settlements in March. And could we actually plan better around it? And why is it always that June and July is just so quiet and literally we just don't have any stock hitting until September? Dean, this whole conversation about like really learning how a business works, getting into really good quality planning, starting to think well and truly ahead of the curve. Are there some things that business owners can do to get ahead of that curve and say, you know what, I'm going to fix that rather than having that problem keep on coming up year in, year out, and actually getting clear about what do we do in November to get plenty of listings for January so that we make sure that we get back to doing opens and auctions as quickly as we can and get the business moving. What are your thoughts?
Oh, mate, there's a couple of things. I think, look, we have to realise that this business is cyclical. There's no doubt. I think a lot of agents, though, run off a very transactional business, i.e. they get busy and they spend time selling and then they don't do the other work to do the prospecting and then they're back in the same cycle. So they're going through this ebb and flow. And then what actually happens is then the seasonal markets then amplify that because there's a lot of people who'll be out selling at the moment, trying to get their listing sold because there's a big rush at this. We're recording right now in October and we're moving into Christmas, right? So as you sort of look at that, there's often a lot of impetus from vendors and buyers to get property sold around about now so they can move in for pre-Christmas, right? So that's a big deal for people. And then if they don't get sold, then they've got to hang over the new year. And then those properties often have been hanging around. They get rested, put back on, often at a discount because they're then competing with a whole flurry of new stock that comes on in the new year. So, they go through this cycle. So I look at it and I think there's a few things. First and foremost, if we just take this little interim period that we've got at the moment and realise that the reason why people then have a flat spot or on the tyre, so to speak, going into sort of coming into Easter is because often the agents will push really hard, get their stock sold, they'll go to Christmas, they go and have their holiday, they don't come back until the end of January in many, many cases, and then they're not launching campaigns until February or later, and they're not running auctions until February, March, and then they're not getting any settlements to post-Easter. That's the simplicity of the cash flow, right? It's really simple. And if they're selling stuff over the next little while, and typically December is a 50-50 month. You can run right through. You can run. You can actually finish quite early, depending upon what's going on in each market. But if your market drops off in December, then immediately that's when your cash flow issues start. If you haven't got campaigns to come back to, so it's planning. So I look at it and go, I know there's pent up demand over Christmas. People still want to buy and sell real estate. There's people who go, I'm going to hold off to the new year. I'm going to get through Christmas. I want to sell, or I'm going to do the same. I'm going to buy. So we've historically known we get a massive spike, even over the Christmas break. You've got people hanging around home. They start thinking about their needs, they start doing planning for their next 2023, and then they start searching real estate. So all of the inquiry in terms of web traffic goes up quite significantly over that period because people are looking and considering what their needs are. So if you've got property, because a lot of people hold their stuff off, I'm actually a believer to say, I don't mind sort of getting it on and just have a really sort of simple campaign over that Christmas campaign because you might actually jag a premium buyer. But nevertheless, getting yourself back and getting your stock listed and in that last week of January, so you can run a really strong campaign, February auction campaign process to get your cash flow back up so that by the time you hit the end of March, you've got your money, you're starting to see the income. If you're leaving it too late or you don't have a consistent way to get your business all generating income, they'll come back in dribs. People come back in dribs and drabs, and they've got stock coming on at different times. And then the other thing is for people, right? If I'm an agent or a business and I haven't got campaigns signed up before everyone goes on holidays, I'm having a pretty stressful Christmas because I'm going, I don't know what we're coming back to, right? And I also then have got all of my clients and all my agents competing with everyone else to try and get photographs done and floor plans and all that sort of stuff done. And often then you're in this massive traffic jam and rush to get stuff on. So planning your cash flow, planning your cycle, and saying right now, my team, I'm saying, right, we're already starting to start talking about what are we doing, how many listings do we need to get signed up and ready to go and photographed pre-Christmas, ready to be first cab off the rank in January, right? Sometimes it could be early in January. You don't have to wait till after. A lot of people wait till after Australia Day. I'm saying, well, maybe you go a bit earlier. Let's have a look at what the market's doing and planning it accordingly. And it just helps. So you need to have some consideration around that. You need to sit down with your agents and your team and go, right, let's have a look. What are your holidays? What are you planning? Right. Okay, cool. So hold on a minute. You're taking 8 weeks off. Right. You're behind budget, right? Okay, you haven't hit your numbers. What do we need to do? Maybe you're not taking your 8 weeks off, by the way. You need to have 4 signed campaigns ready to go before you leave. So I think that, having a really strong overview and really clear dialogue with your team around what's required to gear up so you can even out those fluctuations. The other piece I'd say, Josh, and that's really around agent activity. But if we come back to agent fluctuations in their business, I think to myself, we could be doing a lot more and we should be doing a lot more, and we are doing a lot more to say, if we can actually take hold of the information that's already in our business and generate leads for agents in an effective way, good quality leads, then at those times that they are busy selling and not prospecting, if I can keep filling them up with leads, I can even out the fluctuations and the ups and downs in the business. So you not only got to have really good planning and really good communication and really good focus with your team, but you need to put in place systems and processes and infrastructure to enable you to lead gen at times when agents aren't prospecting. And that's probably one of the biggest game changers we're finding. For example, we generated 58 appraisals last month that was didn't require an agent's involvement whatsoever, other than to turn up and go to the appraisal. Now, that's a growing number, right? And the more we can do that, the more we can control the productivity of the business.
Yeah, the interesting conversation, Dean. How many properties do you see online with a Christmas tree in the photo?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not many, if any, right?
None.
So what I tend to think of is that there's a lot of selling that happens in December, but there's not a lot of active listing where the photos are taken necessarily.
It's a good time to do it if you can. I do get this. I do get there's a Christmas tree and people don't want people in their homes, right? I do get that,
yeah.
right? But if you can sell the benefit to a vendor of actually getting the right photographer, because there's not many, you get the best photographer at the right time of day. You're not in that traffic jam. There's no stress. We can go to Christmas knowing that we're going to be first cabs off the rank and get the benefit from that pent up demand over Christmas.
And that's my exact point. That late November. I usually say once you get past Melbourne Cup week, so about the 14th of November onwards, the big switch is on to listing for 2023.
Yeah.
And then the conversation is, do we need to get suppliers, photographers, videographers, contracts organised from solicitors, everything done, so that come the first week of January, you're actually there. And if you have a look at next year, January the 7th, maybe that's a bit early, but the 14th, okay, great. I think we could fire up with a couple of opens by then. Geez, by the 21st, I'd love to see a lot of momentum, and by the 28th, I want to see this thing kicking. And we could have potentially our first auctions on an in-room auction event on maybe like a Tuesday the 31st, or definitely be doing a lot of auctions potentially the 4th or the 11th of February.
Yeah, you could. There's no doubt about it. If you plan it that way, and you can make that happen, and it shortens the cycle of the cash flow that you haven't seen coming through. I agree, and I think that the issues. I think a lot of agents just want to say yes to the client rather than actually go, well, actually, let me tell you why you should do this. Mm-hmm. Now, if most people they're paying an agent for advice, not for you to be an order taker, right? So yes, sir, no, 3 bags full. So they don't want that. They actually want you to give them advice. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, what I understand is, I understand that you feel that way because it's Christmas and I get it all and it's busy. But I'll tell you what, provided I get it done before mid December. What this is going to do for you is it's going to mean we can go to Christmas nice and relaxed. We know we've got all your stuff in order. We're going to be first cab off the rank. We're going to take advantage of that pent-up demand, and you're going to get the best possible price for your property. I can't guarantee I'm going to get the best photographer for you when we come back, and I can't guarantee I'm going to be able to do this for you. And guess what? We're going to be in the traffic jam with everybody else, competing with everybody else's property at the same time as everybody else, and I don't think that's the right strategy for you. I'm happy to do it if you really want, but my recommendation to you is X, right? Because, and logically, people go, it's a yes or no decision, but if you're not prepared to stump up and have that decision, you're leaving to be honest with you, I don't think you're acting in the best interest of your vendor, but you're also not acting in the best interest of yourself.
The big thing about January too, the media's not around. So I find they just go on holidays. And so there's no major things about auction clearance rates and what's happening in property until like mid-February. So if you've actually got a campaign floating through that January, February period, it's fantastic stuff where you're not getting that negativity in the buyer pool and no one knows what the market's doing and you can actually get a great sale price. So this is really about you as a business leader setting out some really clear terms. And I always say to people, and I have them on a bit to say, Dean, I'll tell you what, I've just struck a deal. Get this. From the 1st of December, you can go on holidays as soon as you want. There's only 2 provisos. Number 1, you've got to sell all of your existing properties that you've got on market right now. And number 2, you need to reach a minimum number of listed properties for starting next year.
With campaigns attached.
Campaigns attached, ready to go. And they go, well, how many am I going to go for? So, okay, great, just get 10. If you can get 10 or 5 or whatever it is for your particular team or that particular person, Just do that. So you can go as soon as you want, as soon as you do those two things. And what I find is that they then get much more competitive and they go, you know what, I can actually get that wrapped up, get that done early, and maybe I can be out of the office on the 10th or the 15th of December because I've actually hit those basic benchmarks. And then, you know what, I'm coming back early, nice and fresh. Maybe by the 10th, 11th of January, I've had a month off, but I've been able to do it and I'm doing it much more relaxed because I get really clear about using those last few weeks of November and into early December to get tons of momentum for next year.
Well, yeah, it's good for you. You go away confident, relaxed, knowing what you're doing. And it's also good for the client. They also know they've got everything ready to go. It's stress-free. You come back, you know what you've got to do post-Christmas. You don't have to chase people because people are away, maybe they're not available. But it's just planning. And your job is to extract the last possible cent the market will pay for the vendor and make it easy and simple for them. And you can only do that with really good planning.
Dean, final question. Do mobile phones go on holidays with you?
Well, you know what? I do my meditation off my app, and I like to keep up track on certain things, and I like to, I actually do read my newspaper on my phone, Josh. So the answer is yes, but
which means that they're searching by the pool at Christmas and New
That's
Year.
my point. Yeah, you're still actively digital. Your mind's still working. You're still doing stuff. So absolutely, people and let's face it, most people's first port of call is to go. They're online. They're in searching well before they get to you. So know that getting a property on the market. Some people wait for the campaign to kick off in the new year. I don't mind a sneaky little listing over Christmas.